Made the flight, I don't know how, ran, did cardio. Next stop, Cannes here. All right, here in Cannes, week of tons of meetings. The entire advertising industry globally gets together here, especially on the creative side, but ad tech, Fortune 500 clients. For me, what's crazy is I'm able to get an enormous amount of meetings in during this week, which probably saves me 7 to 10 days in the second half of the year of not having to fly to Chicago or LA or San Francisco, or even, believe it or not, New York. I tend to see some people here more than I see them in New York. Just when you get to that level of busyness, you know, sometimes events like this are just more efficient, right? So we'll do that. I'm looking forward to it. It should be really, really productive. Got a bunch of my team here. Kim Garcia from VaynerX crushed it. So excited about our experience division of events that we put on and events that we activate for clients. And it should just be really good. Excited. All right, cleaned up here a little bit in the boat bathroom. Fully in the Cannes mode now. And super fired up to do our first event here at the VaynerX boat. VaynerX is our holding company that holds Purewow and VaynerMedia. We're here in Cannes. We've got a bunch of activations. Ryan Harwood, CEO of Purewow, is here, which means everything will be okay. Row of bunch of boats to the left and to the right. Some people massively overdressed. Right there, those characters. Who you were?
I was coming here with like a sports jacket.
Go and do some panels now. You wore a sports jacket?
I was like, this is not gonna work.
Tommy B, what up, baby? How are you? How are you?
I'm very well.
What's your name?
Joel.
Will. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well.
You're way better dressed than I am, dude. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't even bring shorts.
Dude, the rave is about to start, Tom. You're good. You're good, brother. I actually think it's one macro, which is, this is a binary conversation. Either an organization cares about its employees or it doesn't. And by the way, I actually think the way to hack this is to actually make this a CFO issue, not an HR issue. I think when people actually understand at the highest levels that it's, listen, I'm a good guy and I like people, but like the reason I'm obsessive about retention is it creates speed. People know each other, cadence, and speed wins. You know, business is sports, speed wins. And so for me, as you know, when we announced Claude as our chief heart officer and I started doing more stuff on HR, I just gave a big speech in San Francisco around HR. When I talk about people, I try to make it more of a CFO conversation, because if you don't, it's fluffy, it's emotional, it's nice to have. If you make it financial, everybody starts paying attention. So to me, you level it up to why maybe you give somebody a raise that you don't want to, or you give them tickets to a Cardinals game, or you buy them some sneakers that they've been liking on Pinterest or Instagram. It shows that you care. And that leads to retention. The biggest reason I spend so much time one-on-one with all the faces I see here, people that are still here, people that used to work for me, is because that caring ROI plays out in a macro. Shelly spoke to it. I mean, you will never find somebody who's won that ever talks about short-term return. Everybody who's winning is thinking long-term, because the ironic thing is business life and life in general, hopefully as long as nothing crazy happens, is a marathon, yet Everybody's running around like it's a sprint, trying to make something happen in a 30 or 90 or 180 day window. So I think the hack is, can you get into the ear of the CFO? Can she or he really realize, holy shit, this actually matters more than you think? And I think I invested in a company called HiQ, which is real big data, analyzation of all this. The cost of replacing engineers in Silicon Valley is so ridiculous. Even for me, with the people that I interact with, even if they're mid-tier managers, the emotional cost of replacement is pretty extreme. And so that's where I would go with it. I think I speak about regret so much because I'm so fearful of it. I love life so much that when I'm 84 and I know I don't have 30 years left, I'm gonna be sad. And the reason I tell you this is, you're young. Like this is, like I don't know what your expenses are or debt is, right? But the bottom line is, it's always easier now than it is tomorrow.
Yeah.
It just is.
Can I hold you to that? I'm shaking your hand on that.
Done.
I'm gonna go and do
Done.
all this stuff. I'm literally gonna implement. I know what you're like, and I know you're gonna hold me to it. You say in your book.
What's even crazier is, I would fucking hire you if your startup fails. I would flat out do it. Just for the story, we would run this video,
Right.
you know?
All right,
Hey,
all right, I love that.
good luck to you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks very
Cheers,
much.
cheers, mate. Stay well. I'm glad you came. How are you?
I'm
Good to
doing
see
great.
you.
You
How are
too.
things?
Nadine Kaiser. Nadine's actually one of your neighbors. She's
Panel went super well. Shelly's a beast. Great winner. Important issue. You know, diversity and inclusion is not about like checking the box of being politically correct. It's the smart fucking strategy to win.
Amazon.
I'll be right back up. First one down. The dog is in the building. Looking good, dog.
Dennis Osipov-Grodsky, universally known as Dog. Edit that.
What would you say is the most valuable thing you learned while working with Gary?
To be honest with you, I think he embodies change. Change has been a beaten up word, right? Everybody talks about change. I've been to companies that did talk change, but change took forever, and market course corrected them. And with Gary, I think he embodies change and he imposes that mentality, organically by the way, on the rest of the organization. And I have not seen an organization that was more nimble and flexible in accepting change, pivoting, adjusting to the market conditions, adjusting to his vision, right? Because he has incredible intuition, and proving it right or wrong. So I think that's also important to be not to be precious about your change, because change comes. Sometimes it's a right change, sometimes it's semi-right change, sometimes it's outright wrong. So it's very important for organization to be able to go into that change, test it out, and say 2 months later that, you know, it was a mistake, we're pulling out, we're changing it. So change.
I think, and it's such a cliche and it's something he says all the time, but I think it's a marathon and not a sprint. And I think this week at Cannes is actually probably one of the best representations of that. You know, when you think about it, there's a lot of different people that we're going to be meeting from a lot of different companies. And a lot of people here are thinking more transactional. What's the short-term opportunity? How do I sell them today? How do I close the deal? Where the way that I'm thinking about it, and it's really what I've learned from Gary, is how do I actually build a genuine relationship with this person, with the idea that we might not do anything together for 2, 3, 4, 10 years, but ultimately I might want to recruit that person 10 years from now, or I might want to do a deal 10 years down the line, or they're going to go talk to their friend and say, hey, I just met with the VaynerMedia team. They're really, really smart. You should be thinking about what they're doing. And so it's really just coming at it with a long game mentality versus how do I make the most money or close the deal in the short term. which is a total mind shift for most people because they're in it for the short game versus kind of the 30, 40, 60-year game plan.
At the party, Maverick doing his thing. Bunch of big wigs, Kelly McCarthy. She helped me build VaynerMedia in the early days. Matt Carter, one of the great executives, LeBron's boy. Just hustling at this event, making shit happen. All right, it's getting late in the night. Alex Casson looks homeless. We've established that. Ryan Harwood looks like he ate a good amount tonight. We made some stuff done. Bunch of feeds. Productive meetings. Ryan, productive? Listen, you out? Over and out.